All right. Had to take my pre-show tranquilizer. Ted, are you still trying to figure this out? We could do it in sign language. Yeah, man.
Yeah, there we go. All right, we're on. All of us. This is every one of these is an experiment, Tony. Just to let you know, we never really know how these are gonna go. No, man, it's been great so far.
It's been fun.
It's been fun, and so thank you for coming on. And as you can see on the side over there, there's a chat for the private chat, and then also the Twitch chat.
Okay.
So if someone comes in from outside to join the show, we will be able to see it in the Twitch chat. So once, like, we're on now, so you're going to probably want to be paying more attention to the Twitch chat than to the private chat, because we'll only use the private chat when we're not actually on the screen. But we're on now, so everyone can hear us and see what we're saying. So Here we are. Also, I don't know if anyone told you, but this is a drinking show.
Perfect.
We're drinking. I'm drinking.
I started early.
All right, perfect, because I'm drinking. Because I'm nervous for this show. And Ron, are you still there? Ron?
Ron, did you freeze?
Ron froze. Maybe Ron will unfreeze soon.
What happens if I should freeze up? Do I just go back in and try and get back into the room?
You just basically log back into the room and you'll come right back up.
Okay. Like he's doing.
Like Ron is doing right now.
All right, I'm back.
I'm doing right
now. Can you hear me?
What happened here?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Ron.
All right. No more beer left in the green room. I drank it all.
I don't know where Ron is. Ron should be coming back in a second.
I'm here.
I would assume.
He's there. I can hear him.
I can hear
Ron.
Can you see me?
How come? Oh, I see him now. Can you hear me, Ron?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, cool. We're all here. All right, perfect. All right, let's get into this. Hey, first off, I want to introduce anyone who might be watching the show. That's Ron Moya. My name is Tim Washington, and our guest today is Tony Beltran. And Tony has an interesting link to the both of us in the fact that we all knew Reed Caldwell.
Yes, sir.
So that there is our link, and but we're going to talk about art because this is a show about talking about art. Which the great thing about this is I can't, it's hard for me to hold back because I know Ron's up there, he's drinking, and I love doing art and talking about art so much that it's just like this is just fun for me. So anybody watching, just know that I'm just having a good time, and we have a topic to try to keep ourselves in line because prior shows we got out of control and wandered off into the ether. Yeah. Now we try to keep it in line. Ron, anything you want to say before we get into the discussion here?
Yeah, don't talk about my mama no more.
All right, no more mama talk. There we go. See how the rules get made as we go. Mama talk is now off the table. Tony, anything you want to tell the people before we start talking?
Well, let me see. I met you, actually, Ted, through the West Coast Drawing Group. So I'll give a plug out for our group that we're both members of. Man, I think I've been a member of the group since 2006, and you were there before I was. So,
man, that long ago.
That long ago, and it's just a group that's a bunch of artists. It's like a collective of artists that all use drawing as a means to an end. It's not like something you do before a painting or something else. And so the majority of my artwork that we'll probably talk about, or at least, or maybe you could see some of it behind me, they're all drawings. I don't typically paint. So that's, as an artist goes, that's one of my kind of specialties, if you will.
I can speak to that. Mine is somewhere in between. Ron, you guys, what do you got to say there? Ron does some of every goddamn thing.
Yeah, I can't make up my mind, but yeah, no, I appreciate good drawing. And speaking about Reed and his kind of the space that he occupied between drawing and painting was always, I mean, with so few lines, I can remember him just creating so much impact. It was almost like looking at a what is it? What's his name? Stedman. I mean, the way Stedman approached a piece of work. It was a painting. It was a drawing. So yeah, I really appreciate good drawing. I mean, that's the key. That's the fundamental. Good drawing. I mean, if you can draw well, painting is just a skip over the medium for you. But
well, with Reed, the way that he did it, I think one of his philosophies was always, don't draw or don't paint what you see. Draw or paint what you want to see.
Yeah.
What you think it should look like. Don't paint what is actually there. That's anybody can do that. That's more of a craft than an art. An artist has to put his spin on it and do something with that. So that's what I really enjoyed about Reed's work. And in the few conversations that Reed and I had, he always was a huge fan of that. It was like paint. The paint was almost just like an application of color.
Uh-huh.
That he could do rapidly on top of a drawing, and okay, now we'll call it a painting. But like you said, it's really a drawing with color on it, more than a painting.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I have a difficult time distinguishing the two, because I will, like with Ted's work, it's all ink work, but I'll call them paintings. Because they just have that quality.
Ron, you froze. It's going to happen from time to time. Ron, my internet is like ridiculously good. Apparently you have the good stuff too. I'm going to dive in here real quick though on that, that mine is in between that because of the heavy application of ink. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm using ink and it is a drawing medium, but you can paint with ink as well because it is a liquid medium. I try to go in the in-between area with that, is that I'm using it in large amounts, but at the same time, it is still used to draw.
Do you apply it mainly with a brush or with a pen?
Mainly with that's a tough one. On the large black areas, I brush under, but I always go over it with a pen and a Q-tip.
Okay.
I use it just as an undercoat. Like to change the color of the surface that I'm working on, as opposed, and then the areas in between wherever the white might be and the black is the blending areas. Mm-hmm. That's the areas in which the work is done. But but I work all of the black as well because I know that there's a texture in it that is affected by the light, and so it's a little bit like sculpture in that regard because it's like, I'm working the surface of the art, not so much for you to see it as much as for you to feel it. Mm-hmm. Because when the light hits it, the sensation is gonna be in your eye, but if you try to look directly for it, you won't be able to find it.
And having seen your work up close, it's obvious that you do that detail that it takes to make that change. So like you said, when the light does hit it, that you can tell, had you not done that, it would be obvious. That's just a flat painted, black area on the piece. So
I don't know if Ron knows he froze. Ron, you froze. Unfreeze yourself.
He went to do this beer.
Probably. Anyway, but let's get it. Actually, Ron needs to lead this talk because I am confused, and I'm going to get. Where is he? Here he comes right
Am
now.
I back?
Good. Here he comes. Ron, you're back.
Okay. I have to do that throughout the whole show.
Yeah, because you need to get, dude. We got. I'm calling Cox up. I'm calling those guys.
Don't worry, I'm leaving them.
Tell them to get their shit together. Anyway, let's get into this. Let's get into this continuity thing here, Ron, because that's the subject. I don't even know the answer for what it is or how it applies to art. I have an idea of my own, but I don't know what the real answer is.
Well,
and so I'm gonna let you two guys tell me what the answer is.
Now we're all in trouble.
Oh wow, continuity. I just threw out a word that I knew. It seemed to stick.
I went and looked for it online, and if you go Google up continuity in art, it comes up.
Absolutely.
Oh, really? Wikipedia?
Well, just regular Google, it comes right up. You go continuity in art, boom, it has its own page.
Well, I mean, I can start with it. I mean, one of the things that when I use continuity, I always harken back to a teacher that had talked to me about my work, and this was when I was just starting. I mean, I didn't really learn how to draw or begin to learn how to draw until I had decided to go back to school because I had no formal training. I didn't have art in high school, things like that. So really, everything just, I just knew what I wanted to do and knew how, and that was the way I always expressed myself, even as a child, through drawing. But he had told me, he says, your work is going to change throughout your whole lifetime. But there's this thread that connects them all together. And that is kind of, I guess, what you would call your, that would be that creative sensibility that runs through your work. And when I thought about that, I thought it was about something that had to do with style or technique, and that was in the early age. But as I got older, I realized that really the continuity, the one continuous factor, is me. I am always there. I'm the one making the work. And so that is in and of itself, how I describe or define continuity is the fact that it's a fluid thing. I'm changing all the time, but I'm the one producing it. I'm the one, and therein lies the connection where I can go back to works in the past and rediscover them, or and they will continue to inform things that are in the future, that I do in the future, and so. I mean that's just the way I think about continuity.
What about you, Tony?
Well, and I have a couple of questions that since we're bringing it up, as far as continuity goes, because I did like you did, Ted. As soon as anyone asks you what does continuity in art mean, you look it up on Google and see what pops up and start reading. Okay, let's see what these people said. And I was kind of torn between using the word continuity, meaning continuity in the process of how you create your work, or continuity in the spectrum of your work, meaning more of your style, so that if someone looks at a Ted Washington piece, they know it's Ted Washington. It's unmistakable. There's nobody else that does work like Ted Washington does. And so if you're looking at continuity in that stylistic phase or that way, then you could tell that, that's one definition of it. And then the other, what Ron was talking about with you're the continuity, because you are the creator of the piece. Your process and how you go about creation adds to that continuity. But like I said when we started, I don't typically paint. So if I am drawing and I'm using basically the same materials to, charcoal, graphite, chalk, whatever, colored pencil, whatever it is that I choose to use, if I switch and then use a brush to apply something, Did I alter the continuity? Did I alter the style? Something just changed. What changed? What's the word for that?
Well, see, okay. My thoughts on continuity, it's okay. It's both. I know, like with Ron, it was huh? Uh-oh. Ron, did you freeze? Tony, did you freeze? We all froze. Okay, you're still here. For me, Ron froze, though. I'm trying to get... Is Ron back? Ron, are you back? Ron, you froze. Anyway, for me with continuity, it was kind of built in. I mean...
Hey, wait, what?
I
missed
knew
that.
I was going to be working with the pen and ink, which I just fell in love with it because of my situation of my life. I don't want to. That's too much. That's too long a conversation to get into. But the stylistic continuance of it all was built in because of the way I limited what I was going to do, and I was on a journey from one spectrum to another. But then I did make some drastic changes, as I've just been posting up on my own Instagram when I posted all the abstract expressionist stuff. That stuff looks nothing like what I was doing before, but it is still my work. And when you look at it, you go, oh yeah, he's still working with the same tools.
It's the same tools, the same materials, and basically the same process, but with a different outcome.
Yeah, but it's not really even the same process, though, because I threw it out. I tossed it up. I mean, I kind of like threw out reality. It's like, okay, we're going to toss reality out of the window. But at the same time, I see what Ron is saying that, Ron, for you to really let me, Ron, do you hear me?
I'm moving.
Okay, yeah. For there to be, okay, so with this in mind, for there to be continuity with your idea of it all, does this mean you have to always do art? Do you ever get to take a break? Is there a point in there where you don't do work? I just saw this post.
Oh, you saw what post?
A post where it was somewhere a girl had a thing where she goes, hey, Leonardo da Vinci presents the Mona Lisa after 4 years. And then another one says, I haven't posted on Instagram in 3 days. Everyone must think I'm dead.
Right.
I was like,
that's a whole other conversation.
You're irrelevant now. You haven't posted in 3 days. You're irrelevant.
So with that in mind, does it mean you have to always be continuously working?
Well,
that's another great definition of continuity.
Yeah. The work.
If you take a break in your work, and say I lived out of the country for a period of 4 years, and during that time frame, I worked very little, very infrequently, and I showed once with the drawing group. I shipped some things back to do one of the shows, but other than that, my work has not been continue. You could say it's continuous because my whole life I've drawn, just like Ron has said. I think artists you're kind of born that way. You develop into an artist, or you have that passion in you, and somehow it's going to come out. And for us, it's in the visual arts, and so that's what we produce. We don't make music. We don't. Well, Ted, who's a little bit of he does everything.
Yeah, I swear.
But
all the media.
For the rest of us, we kind of pick one and stick with it.
None of them good. That's why I keep doing stuff. One day I'll find the one that I do good.
To your point about taking a break, I don't really think it's the difference between a hobbyist and an artist is simply a hobbyist can take a break, and take it up on Saturdays. But even when you're not making art, you're making art. And I think that's what artists do. Even when they're not doing anything, you can justifiably say you're still thinking about it all the time. You're still open. It's just your nature to look at things and think about things and then want to find a way to consolidate them and make them into something, or it provokes you into making something. So I don't really believe that, like you say, taking time off. Well, even when I'm taking time off from it, I'm still in the process of thinking about making.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Oh, I don't know, man. As you said, I have a number of things going on, but I almost always have some kind of actual visual art going on between the comic books that I have to draw, and I say have to. The great and and the art, the fine art part of it, like I have commissions lined up that I have to do, and so there's always this there's always this obligation that I'm trying to fill.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like I am drawn to write, which goes hand in hand with the comic book, because I like to write, but I like to tell a story. So it's just really weird. I guess I'm always creating, but it's always on some weird ass level. I don't know, man. Many times I think I'm just playing around with it, man, because yes, I'm always creating. Okay, I'll give in. Yes, it's true.
Do you keep a sketchbook with you typically?
I keep a sketchbook and a little writing book, both.
There you go. So if you have an idea, something comes into your mind, you can get it on paper before you lose it.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes.
So you are creating for the majority.
Sometimes it's lost. Sometimes it should be lost. Sometimes they're found and then thrown away.
What was I thinking?
Because they should have been lost. Oh God, Ron, unfreeze yourself, Ron. While we're waiting on Ron, I'm going to change the art. Hang on a second. I'm going to change the art.
Okay.
We were talking about this. Yeah, talk about this piece. What's going on here?
So I did this piece in 2008. It's done on Navy chart paper. I was in the military. I was in the Navy for 22 years. And so I found, like I just asked you about the sketchbooks because I was deployed. I had taken the sketchbook with me and I filled the sketchbook. And I wasn't able to, I didn't have anything else to draw on. And so I still had, pencils, all that you can get. That'll be available on the ship. But paper, all you have is like printer paper. And I didn't want to just draw on regular printer paper. So I got some of the charts and they were going to be thrown away. And I kept them and I started drawing on it. And that's how these kind of pieces, when I came back from my deployment, I was in San Diego, still on active duty, and I showed a couple of pieces to Mark Lugo of in San Diego. There,
Mark Elliott Lugo.
Mark Elliott Lugo, absolutely. I owe a lot of my art career to Mark Elliott Lugo. Because he came and he saw me in the gallery in Pacific Beach in the library, standing and looking at some of the work that was on the walls. And he had said, "Hey, are you an artist? Are you just appreciating the work? What?" And so I told him, yes, I'm an artist. And so he said, "Hey, I'd love to see your work. We have an upcoming drawing show, and we have established artists, but then we typically do one kind of an emerging artist or someone that's not widely known. And if your work is good, I'd love to include you in the show." And so he came to my house and viewed the stuff. And what he saw was the pieces that were like this one done on Navy chart paper. And he thought, that is so unique. Nobody is doing that. And so he chose some pieces and they hung in the show, and they were all three bought by one collector before the show, as the show was just opening up. So
wow,
that was a fantastic way for me to kind of get back into, hey, this has merit. Who knows art, likes this.
Where was that show? Was that the one at the PB Library?
That was one of the annual drawing shows at the PB Library.
Yeah.
I actually showed with, let's see, who else was in that show? Some of the really big San Diego art names were in the show. Gosh, I'm trying to think. I bet I have the flyer around here in my studio somewhere, but I couldn't tell you where it is. But if I think of the names, I'll bring them up later as the show goes on. But so this piece was just something that I had done. When talking about like continuity in the work, I still draw on Navy chart paper. So I love that as the feel of the paper, kind of the recycling of the paper, and like some artists will get a piece of paper, just a plain blank sheet, and just make marks on it. So there's something there to kind of avoid that like block. You're afraid to damage it because art equipment is expensive and paper and good quality stuff is pricey. And so what do you do? But you don't have that with the Navy chart paper. I'm like, I already recycled this. So the fact that I'm using it is, easy enough.
Hey, with that in mind, because I saw another artist who drew on topographic paper, which was also awesome. But that stuff is not archival. Like, I know for a fact if that stuff is hung in the sun, that all those backing lines that may have been incorporated into the piece are going to go away.
Well, the charts that I draw on are literally 20 years old.
All right.
I've had them. So some of the things like I drew, I used to, I'll get myself in trouble, but I used to go into.
Don't do it. Just stop. Stop right
I used
there.
to go to like a library. This is when I was in high school. I would go into the school library, take the biggest reference book out, flip it open to a page, and then draw on it, and then close it back up and put it back in there to see if anyone ever found that. And I would sign my name and the year that I did it. And here you go. And maybe someday that'll turn up. They've probably all been destroyed by now, but I would do those kind of things. And it led me to drawing on different mediums. And I think that's what attracted me to the chart paper. And so anyway, as far as like doing this when it comes to continuity, this piece, I tend to use text in my work quite a bit. I don't always use text, but it is a big part. And a lot like Reed's work that evolves around people or the figures or the human head especially, I do a lot of stuff that looks like heads.
Well, and therein lies the name for your handle. Ron, anything you want to say before I change the art?
Well, I was just saying you're at your own art. Going into libraries and creating whatever materials that that belong to you. I did that with a long by Gregory Corso, and never returned the book because I liked it so much. And so about 12 years ago, I went to see Gregory Corso at a picture reading. I handed it to him and I said, "Here, man, could you sign my book?" And he looks at it and he goes, "Whoa, where'd you get this thing?" I says, "Well, it got too pricey to give back." So, but being a criminal being a criminal himself, he just looked at it, laughed, and says, "Oh man, this is wonderful." Invited me to a party that night.
Perfect.
Oh, so goodness.
You got to use what you got to use.
You guys are giving artists a bad name. I'm changing the art now.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Like artists had a good name?
That's all it's got is
we're gonna change up the art right now. Hold on a second.
Right. Wait, before we go, can you talk about the drawing itself, that kind of radiating line?
Oh, I already changed it, but I can go back. Hang on a second. Oh man,
it still looks the same for me.
That's because I haven't updated the screen.
The radiating line, it just happened one day. It was kind of an organic thing, and I was so on this particular piece, the radiating line is done with colorless colored pencil. So that and or a white colored pencil, but I use the colored pencil sticks. Look, I'm sitting here at my desk, so like I happen to have some. These guys right here, this is what I typically use and just go crazy back and forth. And I like the way that it blends the graphite or the charcoal, whatever is on the surface. And it gives a feeling of completeness to the piece that sometimes without that, it would feel hollow or not finished. And so I think it gives it a much more finished feel. And it again kind of became one of the things that people have said, "Hey, I recognize your work because of that scribbling all over the head." Did that answer your question, Ron?
I think Ron froze again, but that answered the question for me.
Okay, perfect.
Ron freezes. He's coming back now. Well, let's see if he heard the answer. I'm thinking he did hear you. I'm gonna pay for Ron some better internet if I have to.
There you go.
I got lucky.
If you're never online.
Well, I have fiber, so I got the good shit right now. So I'm up to speed.
Go ahead and switch the drawing to what's the next one here.
Okay, we're going to the next one. All right, let's go and then go over here and go get the image and go get the art, and the art is there, and it's not updated for you, but I'm going to update it right now. Hang on just a second, and boom, and now it should change for you as well.
It's black screen.
It's coming. Just hang on.
All right, Mr. I've got fiber. You've got fiber internet and an old computer?
No, I got to update the stream, and I'm thinking I don't know why it's not doing it, but here it comes. It should be there. Huh. Hang on a second.
Sure. So, hey, everybody who's watching this. My name's Tony. I've taken over the show. Ted and Ron are gone. So it's now the Tony Beltran Art Talk Show. And what we're going to talk about today is continuity in art. And because we don't have continuity in television production or channels or internet.
Yeah, we do. We're here. There you go. And
so my big question is continuity. If you're watching, you can feel free
there you go.
to
Is it
chat
there
on
now?
the stream, and I'll answer your question. Is continuity in art mean continuity in your style or the aesthetic of your work, or is it continuity in the process that you use to create the work? So there you go.
There we go.
Chat away.
Can you hear me, Tony?
Ron. There you go. It's up now. The new piece.
Yes. Like I said, I was waiting. I was like, why is it not updating? I'm like, come on, update. I just changed the art.
There you go. So this one is charcoal and graphite and chalk.
Can you hear me, Tony?
Watercolor paper.
Tony, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. And I don't know where Ron is. Ron's out there. Here he comes. Here he comes now. Well, no, look, like I said, we're using technology that has not been perfected, but it's for the layperson, for the people on the street. Ron, you back? Oh no, he's gone. Anyway.
So
okay, I'll talk. I'll keep going here then.
About this piece here, this drawing, the way that I create is I never have anything in my mind. I get a feeling like, hey, I'd like to draw. I feel like drawing today or right now or whatever. Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night. It's like I need to draw. I feel like drawing. So it's great that I have a studio and a desk that I can leave everything out, because otherwise it used to be my dining room table and stuff was everywhere. And my wife hated it because I always had things out all over the house. So now I have a studio that I can actually leave things out. So when I feel that desire to draw, I just jump in and do it. And I don't spend typically more than, I would say if I spend 20 minutes on one piece of work, that's a long time for me.
Wow.
So majority, like that piece that you're looking at, was like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes tops. But the majority of them are 5 to 10 minutes, somewhere in between there. And you want to talk continuity? I drew this one and just posted it to Instagram earlier today. So it's, again, very similar to the one that's up there. Same chalk, same graphite, same charcoal, same cold pressed paper. And it has those scribbly lines all over it that Ron was talking about there. So I think, again, that's just part of my creative process. So when I'm done, I'm done.
So when you use your sketchbooks, are you using
How many drawings do you do?
Pardon?
How many drawings do you do a week?
Oh, in a week? It depends. Like I might sit down at one time and work on, 3 to 5 pieces. That's typically, and then I'll leave. And if I do the first one and I don't like it, then I'll probably stop. But if I keep going, I'll do 2 or 3 pieces, and then I'll do that 3 to 4 times a week. So
what are you using the sketchbook for?
So this is, I mean, I looked at your face. I mean, there's you're concentrating on the face.
yeah.
And what I'm thinking about is, I guess what I'm thinking about is, are you referencing, thinking about some particular face, or is this just an action that you're going through and creating these faces? It's just kind of muscle memory that just kind of whips these things out in that kind of frenzy that you can see in your work.
Some of it is it's because I'm typically always listening to music when I draw.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be if it's jazzy, upbeat music, I'll draw more rapidly and things will hop out. But if it's a slower, sadder, more depressing song, then I'll slow down, take my time. Things are darker then, and So this one was actually done to a jazzier song, and like I said, I think I spent 3 minutes on that drawing to get it to where it was. And but then when I'm done, I'm done, and then I wait until the next time when the muse is upon me, and then I have to draw.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So what is this?
It's just so cool how you apply color to this. It's very limited palette, but it just, there's almost a brutality looking at this thing to the way you use color and the way you use the way you use the line. It's really delicate and fluid, but it's also very visceral and aggressive.
I've heard that before. In when I was talking about Mark Elliott Lugo, the write-up that he wrote for me, said there was he used words exactly like that. It's an aggressive application of medium, and then violent erasing as well, because I do use a lot of eraser. Although I have added a new tool to my arsenal. This is a rubber wine cork. And it's like one of the synthetic kind of half plastic ones.
Yeah.
That as an eraser and kind of smears things around without removing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a neat, little tool that I just started goofing around with, and I like it. So I'm going to keep using those. But I used to be scared shitless of color, which is probably why it's so limited in what I use. I always, every time we have a show of the drawing group, I always say, wow, I wish I knew how to draw, because I've taken drawing all through school. I was an advanced art student when I was in high school and everything. And, but I never really did anything that was a lot of color. And I think limiting myself to the certain tones that I use has really been beneficial for me, because you have to be a little more creative in its use and application. Then you can't just do the same thing. Otherwise you get the same thing all the time. And that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing every time and expecting a different result. And if you're going to draw and use the same 3 or 4 colors, you better make it interesting. Otherwise it's not going to go very far. So the fact that it still gets shown and people still appreciate it, that means I must be doing something right. So.
Okay.
I think Ron's going again.
All right. Well, then I'm gonna go back to my question I had. Then, what do you use What do you use the sketchbook for?
So the sketchbook for me, I will do, like, if I hear a lyric from a song and it strikes me, I'll write it down. Or someone will ask me a question or say something that it somehow just resonates. I'll jot that down. Sketchbooks, again, I use the sketchbook like I do a regular drawing, but I'll do typically only graphite in the sketchbooks because it smears and smudges otherwise too much. My drawings are pretty messy with the charcoal and the chalk. But
is the sketchbook ever used for reference?
Hell yeah.
No, I don't make copies. I don't do one. I do one and done. I only once I make a drawing, I don't try and recreate that drawing or make a series that look very similar. Sometimes that happens, but it's not by conscious effort to do that.
So the sketchbook is just for like release.
Basically, yeah, it is, and for scale. So sometimes, like when I was showing at the San Diego Art Institute, I would show quite a bit of work there, and they brought in the 1 foot show, so you had to really limit the size of whatever work you were trying to do. Otherwise, especially if you frame it. So what I would do is I would go to the frame store and buy 3 or 4 frames that I knew would fit within the 1 foot show, and then trace out the inside of the mat. So I knew, okay, it's got to be, I've got a 3x3 area to draw in. And if I bought a small sketchbook, I would draw in that, and it would constrain me to that size. Because one of the things, again, when we were talking about Reed, that I really admired is he could do smaller work, and he could do a wall mural, and he approached it all the same way. And I love, there's a video of him online actually doing a painting, and he just attacks this thing. And I love to watch him work. And there was a mural on G Street, downtown San Diego. I think it's been painted over or taken down now, unfortunately. But it was a painting of one of his faces, one of his heads, and I loved it. And it was one of those things that, again, continuity, the size didn't matter, the size of the work. You knew that was a Reed Cardwell piece, and no mistaking it at all. So that's something, I guess, if you want to say that I've been fortunate in or kind of strive for, is that every time we've had a show, people look in the show and they know, oh, that's Tony's work right there, or that's Ted's work right there. It's very distinctive in that way.
I don't know if they know that's my work, man. I'm not going to ever take that kind of a claim. Good God. I was going to say, because I use my sketchbook for reference. In fact, talking about scale, I use my sketchbook like I was talking when we and Ron discussed earlier, that I knew that if it balanced in my sketchbook, that when I exploded it out large, it would still balance, because I knew that it would balance on. Once it balances, it's going to balance. That's just the way it is.
Well, your work is so much more intricate and detailed, and mine is an explosion on the paper.
Well,
so it doesn't require that level of detail.
Well, when I did, that is so weird, because I just got through throwing up all those pieces, those abstract expressions pieces, whereas they were all detailed application from a explosion of drawing.
Are you talking about the harmony pieces?
Yes, the harmony and the dissonance of man pieces.
I don't know why I got so anxious looking at your harmony drawings.
Because you can't. They're called In Search of Harmony. They're not about harmony. That is such the weird thing about you. I tell people, this is not about peace. This is about looking for it. And looking for peace is not peaceful, because if it was peaceful, then you would no longer be looking for it. And the same thing for harmony. The pieces are titled.
Well, then you succeeded.
The pieces are titled In Search of Harmony. That's why there's never an end to those, because I haven't found it.
I had to take a Xanax after looking at your drawings.
Or
2.
Because they're not meant to be settled. That was the whole point. But the weird thing is, the source of those is the unsettled drawing. Like you said, Tony, I drew those all on Post-its. And as I told Ron, I would take a stack of Post-its and just whip through a whole stack of Post-its in like 2 minutes. Like the whole stack, just whip through them all, and then look around on the floor and pick out the ones that I thought were interesting. Oh, this is interesting. And then I would take those and then blow them up into those drawings. So that it's like a replication of something that I had worked out on the paper. But like I said, I knew it was going to balance because the sketch prior worked.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. So you don't use your sketchbook to do that. Your sketchbook is like an emotional release.
The weird thing with the sketchbook is, like, if I'll hear somebody say something, and I'll write that down. Or I'll hear, like I said, a line from a song or a line from a movie or something, and I'll write that down. So I've named my piece before it's been created, if that makes sense. That whatever that song was that struck a chord with me, it made me want to draw something, and so I have a name. I know what I'm going to call it, but I don't know if this is the drawing that's going to reflect that or not. So I might do 4 or 5 drawings in a sit down, and then I'm going to pick the piece that I think most closely reflects what I was trying to get across, or what that song or that lyric or those words meant to me. And so that's how I'll name pieces that way. And otherwise, naming my work is like the worst part of drawing, I think, because I do produce so much. There's no way I could name every single thing. So a lot of times, if I've posted something on Instagram, like I might draw it, spend 5 minutes drawing it, then immediately take a picture of it with my phone and post it on Instagram. And when I'm doing it, I'm like, well, I should give it a name. What the hell am I going to call this? I don't know. So I'll just make something up, or what have you. It's so tough. I wish I could just pick up a book and read and say, okay, whatever the next 3 words are, that's the name of my drawing. And as a matter of fact, I might do that. I'll just have to pick a book and.
We could title your work.
Oh, God.
Just whip them out. Or we'll give them names.
Happy drawing number 2.
No, I go online and I'm looking at people with their work, and they'll have something working saying, untitled. Do you have a title for this? I'm going, what are you talking about? You want a complete stranger out of the void titling your work? I was like, wow. Ted, what's Ted up to?
Here again.
This soup that we're creating. Yeah, so is this well, of course, you said you're drawing, but man, that thing looks so sculptural.
This is a painting, actually. This is, again, I said I was experimenting with paint, so this is paint on nautical chart paper, and then the color was applied with chalk afterwards.
God, I wish we could see these things bigger.
I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? I'm limited to the screen here. I sent you the artwork on the blog so you could blow it up. If you grab that blog image off the website, if you go to the I know you got 2 computers rolling there, Ron, because I know you.
Yeah.
If you go to the Puna Press website, you can go there and grab a large image. It's there.
Oh, okay.
To give you an idea about this piece, it's about 18 by 24.
There you go. That's good size.
God.
This is awesome.
Who it speaks to.
It's on that chart paper, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And again, I have a bad habit. I will go to, like I said, I'll go to the frame store and I'll buy frames, matted frames, and then I'm like, okay, now I got to find work to fit in these frames, and so I'll cut the paper or limit myself, and then I'll go to town, because otherwise it would be so big, it would be crazy to try and frame or whatever. But
So the blue isn't collaged, is it?
Size.
The blue is color that you put in there.
It's chalk. Yeah.
Chalk? Wow. That just looks like it's so photographed. You know what it reminds me of? It almost reminds me a little bit like looking at a Dubuffet. Yeah, it just has that quality, and the segmentation of the light areas, and then it's just brutal.
Brutal.
It is brutal, man.
They're rough and tough. What is that? You said this is a painting?
This is paint. Yeah, this is actually acrylic paint on paper. And then I went back. I had actually done a charcoal drawing, started with charcoal, went back with the paint over that, liked that better. And then once the paint had dried, but I kind of rapid dry the paint. I use cans of compressed spray air. So that'll be, how I'll do the painting, and then I want to keep going because I don't spend a lot of time on these. So in order to dry the acrylic paint faster, I'll give it couple sprays of the compressed air, and then I can apply the chalk or more graphite or whatever on top of that, and it doesn't. And that's also how I get rid of the excess like eraser bits or chalk dust or whatever's left, so I can.
Man, you're making me excited. I want to go draw right now.
So is there
How
dust
much more time we got?
So is there a dust outline around your table?
Yeah, man. When did your wife wanted you out of the house?
I mean, there's dust.
Like, man, get black lung.
I'm like going there, man. It's gonna be a mess, dude.
Can't you have a neater hobby?
There was a Life is Beautiful festival here in Las Vegas, and I was going to apply. They were going to do what they called the Art Hotel. Well, they actually did it, and in the hotel, because it was an old abandoned, one of the old Vegas style hotels, and each of the rooms, as an artist, you could apply to get a room all to you. And then you could do whatever you wanted. You could hang work on the walls. You could paint the walls. You could do anything. Go nuts. Mm-hmm. So I thought, here's my chance to go large, but I wanted to practice. So what I did was I took some big graphite crayons and I started drawing on the walls in my studio.
Yeah.
And I thought my wife was going to stab me. When she saw that, she was like, "What the hell are you doing?" Just practicing, for this. If I do decide to apply for this, I want to know if I can do it before I get it. And so I didn't end up actually applying for it or anything, but I should have. I should have kept going. But
you're an artist. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Oh, dude. I always love when I drew drawings and then erase stuff, and all those eraser shavings are everywhere. You're like going, Jesus, these things are every fucking where.
Yeah, and they don't go away. They just they're everywhere.
It was just all over the place. Like, this is fucking ridiculous.
That's the other thing I was looking for. Is typically too, I'll use a. See if I can find. Oh yeah, here's one.
I'm gonna just yell out real quick. Ron, you froze. So there we go. Keep going.
All right, you'll love this one. So when I sit down to draw, I actually put on a glove because almost like a mechanic, I know I'm going to be covered in oil or whatever it is that I'm working on. So to do my charcoal and graphite and everything else, I have to wear a glove. And then you can see there's actually paint on the glove because I'll be applying paint, but I don't always use a brush. So I'll just use a finger and smear it around.
Just to let you know you're not alone, when I'm drawing, I have a cut-up sock that I use on my hand.
Oh, there you go.
That has ink on it, as you can see, because this way you don't smear the ink. The sock actually
you can it on the paper and
the sock hooks it, and then I have another sock.
Who do you think you are, Bob Cratchit?
Then I have another sock that I put over it for when I'm doing the large lean-ins on the table.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
monkey.
So I can lean in and get in there and not have to worry about messing it all up. So yeah, the tools, man. You got to have those tools.
Cleanliness.
Well, I think that all speaks to continuity.
Yes.
So.
Yes. God, thank you for bringing us back.
Yeah, we're back.
Thank you for bringing us back, reeling us in.
It was, what do you mean we never went away, man? We're still here. I mean, I wasn't the one to decide to put down the charcoal and use acrylic paint and spray it down with air.
I like that whole everything. I never thought about that.
Again, it's dealing with what you have, and
you know the weird thing is, before I came out here, I used to paint. I did only painting. I still had all my brushes and stuff. And I only started doing the ink because I was homeless. I had the pens, which is the most expensive part. I owned those from high school.
Yeah.
And ink and paper are the cheapest, most plentiful things you can get. You can get ink and paper for pennies. Mm-hmm. And if you have the pens, you can draw. And
I wanted to start a charity. I used to say all the time, art supplies should be free. It's like, if you want it, it should be like a library. You should just be able to go in, check out some material, and then you could even return it and then have an art show on what people brought back from however much you spent, and
Yeah,
see what people would
that'd
bring
be cool,
back.
actually.
So I'd love to be able to host some kind of a show like that. But I've always thought that they should be inexpensive or free, but we all know they're not. They're really expensive.
Yeah, they are.
I'd like to partake in that show too. I'd like to take all the supplies and never bring them back in.
You might have blank walls on your show because no one brought anything back.
I remember when these guys did a street art show downtown in this large warehouse that was abandoned. And what was awesome is the street artists, when they finished, they left all of their spray paint cans just in a huge pile. Many of the cans still had paint in them. So if you wanted to go through the pile and shake cans, you could get paint.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Wow, I didn't think that stuff was left behind.
Yeah, oh no, no, they didn't leave the nibs. No, that's the most important part of the whole thing is those nibs. Because you have the different types of nibs to blow the paint out,
Right.
So it was just like a pile of spray paint cans with no nibs.
Yeah.
But that was fine if you knew what you were doing. If you knew, hey, if I got my own nibs, I just got to shake cans until I find paint. And so you would see people going through the piles every once in a while, grabbing, and you're like, oh, okay, they're looking for paint. Because none of the cans had nibs on them anymore.
Yeah. That's the most valuable thing.
Yeah, those nibs, man, those are like gold, man. If you find good nibs that can go wide and narrow and do things you want to do, that's gold.
So I'll tell you another story, Ted, along the same kind of lines. When I was first starting off, what I used to do is I would go to thrift stores in San Diego because you could buy large canvases that were already
painted on,
probably taken out of hotel rooms or however they got those things there. I don't know. But then I would take them home and I would paint over it with either black or white paint, and then now I get a fresh canvas. So this was before Antiques Roadshow, man. I could have destroyed some priceless works of art that now have a Tony Beltran something on top of it, because that's what I used to do with them.
Hey man, artists themselves did that to their own art. I mean, Jesus. I mean, that's sometimes you run out of supplies. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. Oh God, this is great, man. We are nearing the end of our show. And I don't know. Ron, you got something you want to say?
I don't know, because I could be frozen or
You're not frozen. You're not frozen.
Oh, I'm not frozen. Oh, no. Jesus. I got to be careful, because God knows what I'll say when I'm frozen. What were we talking about?
And there we go, folks. There goes the statement on continuity right there. We have no idea. As Ron is frozen. He's frozen now. See, it's only right. It serves him right that he's frozen. That he's frozen after that kind of a comment, after that kind of a statement, rolling through the show like that. No, man, dude, I just want to say, I love your work. You already know that, though. One thing is, Reed could never come to my house because I own a piece of art by Reed. And Reed had this weird policy that, he always carried his sketchbook and he always had his charcoals and shit in his pocket. He always did. And Reed had this crazy ass policy where if he saw his work and he thought it needed something, he could do it. So I was always afraid, man, Reed, I really love this painting. And I was always afraid, Reed, if it comes in my house, he's going to fucking change the goddamn painting. And I love it like it is. I don't want you to, don't change it. So Reed could never come to my house. I was like, Reed,
unfortunately, all I have from Reed is because when we showed, we actually showed together at our Influences show that we did at San Diego Institute of Art, the one in Mission Valley. I don't even know if it's still there anymore.
I remember the school. We showed
there. Yeah, I showed there too. The one that
we had a show at that school, and Reed. We had to find someone who influenced us, and I reached out to Reed and said, "I want you to be my influence. Would you show along with me?" So I had 2 pieces in the show, and Reed had 2 pieces in the show, and the same collector bought all 4 of our pieces. So from that show, and I thought that was the best compliment I think I've ever gotten as an artist. So that someone bought my work alongside Reed's.
So that person's never going to invite Reed over either.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny is that person is now or was in our drawing group. It was Joyce Coram.
Oh, okay.
She bought all the pieces. She bought all 4 of those pieces, and she's fantastic. She's like a collector of my stuff because I think every time I've shipped anything to San Diego or driven it to San Diego for a show, and I decide I don't want it back. Like once my art has flown the coop, it's out in the world. I want it to remain out in the world. And I usually joke and say, hopefully, my work is good enough to hang like in the bathroom, over the men's room, and over the urinal, the stall or something. Put it in there; it'll be fine. But Joyce is always Johnny on the spot to pick it up. If I'm like, oh, I don't want that or whatever, she'll say, oh, I'll buy it. Right? Whatever the price was, I'll take it. So.
All right. I'm not prolific enough for that kind of activity.
Your stuff is pricey. I would love to own some of your work, but I don't think I can afford your commissions.
Dude, I have no choice though because I do so few pieces. Because they take so long. Each one takes a month.
Exactly.
I mean, Jesus. And there's the physical toll. My body, when I get done doing art, I actually hurt. Like my shoulder hurts, my arm hurts, everything hurts. It's like fuck, I get it off the table. Like I just basically took a month off, this whole month of January off because my body was failing. It was literally falling apart. It was like, dude, you cannot be in this position anymore. You got to stop. And so I took the month of January off, but now I got deadlines coming on my ass. And so I'm going to be cranking some art for the next 6 to 7. Actually, for the next 4 months, I got to crank art hard.
There you go.
And I'm going to.
It's a great feeling though once you have that feeling of accomplishment once you've completed a piece, because I mean you feel bad if you're not able to create. If you want to and you're not able to do it, then that bothers you. And then if you are doing it and you're in the throes of it, and sometimes that'll bother you like physically or mentally, because if it's not turning out the way that you're hoping it will turn out, or sometimes I've drawn every day for a month and I hate everything I've done, and I just like it's all going in the garbage can. It's all a bunch of crap I would never show, and so I get rid of it all. And then I might sit down one day just out of the blue and draw one thing, and it's great, and I love it, and then I feel happy.
That's why I have the sketchbook, because my style takes so long that I can't afford to want to. I only have a few pieces that are complete failures. I have a few that I look at and go, oh my God, this failed. And I keep them. I don't throw them away. I keep them because I want to make sure that I don't do that again. It's like, don't do that again. Whatever you don't do that.
To learn from, exactly. I do have things that I've kept that I don't really care for, but usually I'll just take a photograph of it and I'll keep it on my computer. So I'll go back through my old works, photographs of the old stuff, and say, yeah, see that? Don't do that again. That was garbage. That was a waste of time and materials.
I'm a masochist. I keep them.
Ron likes pain. He's like, hurt me.
Pain. I like to open that and go, whoa, I haven't come far, have I?
And so there we go. There's the old continuation of it all. Hey, look, we're at our hour here. We did it. I can't believe we actually talked for an hour. But it was easy. Because we're talking about art, something we don't know anything about, so we can talk about it.
For sure.
I like when you said, I wish I knew how to draw, because I always say that about myself. I wish I knew how to draw. I mean, even though I'm always up for failure. So
that's life, man. It's just a series of failures. You just keep learning as you go.
That's the best part about it. That's all I can say to anyone else, man. I always tell other people, especially when I deal with, like, whenever I talk to kids or something, I tell them, the biggest part of it is getting used to yourself. Mm-hmm. Getting used to your own work. Once you get used to your own work, then you can go forward. That is the absolute hardest part of it all, is getting used to your own work. Ron, are you unfrozen? Because I want you to get in here and talk for a second so we can sign out. Hello? He's coming back. Good. But yeah, I found that to be the hardest part of it all, is getting used to your own work. I mean, once you accept yourself, then you can go.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. It's a tough thing to do, honestly, and say this is what I'm creating. This is I don't want to say this is as good as it's going to get, but these are my limitations as an artist, as a draftsman. Some people can sit down and draw really beautiful technical drawings, and some people can't, and that's why there's a need for that. It's because not everybody can do it. So to learn and accept where your art can take you, that's a big piece. So,
Ron, anything to say on this as we sign out?
Oh, I was just, you know what? I was just wondering when you were talking about there's a place for that academic drawing or that academic painting, because I see a lot of it when I'm, just perusing online. And for me, I get what you're saying. There's a need to see it. For me, I look at that kind of work and I admire the technical skill level it takes to make that kind of artwork, but it leaves me empty each time. It's like just accepting a vanilla shake, extra large vanilla shake every day. I can appreciate the strokes. I can appreciate what it turns out to be, but I would.
But it doesn't punch you in the face like one of my drawings.
Yeah. And that's why you want to come. You want to come to it. You want the work to do something to you.
Yeah.
That's really what makes I think an interesting artwork. You want it to do something, and as long as you have that in mind, like me, I make work to hurt you. My grandchildren ask me all the time, Grandpa, why do you paint such scary paintings? And I look at them going, those damn things are happy. And that's about as happy as I get, kid.
See, that's what I'm saying, dude. My work is a conversation amongst myself. I don't even know why people want to see it. Because you look at it and just go, why? Why would you do this to yourself? Why would you just sit here with endless time drawing dots after dot after dot after, another fucking dot? And I try to tell them.
Yeah, throw some there in there every once in a while.
Well, I try to tell people all the time, dude, I'm trying to waste my existence. Because if I become too aware, we're all in trouble.
I think it's good, man. I think I love your work, Ted. It's beautifully executed. It does take a long time, and I appreciate that because if I had to sit down and try and reproduce something like you do, there's no way I could do it. So I have that appreciation.
Myself straight to the therapist.
Oh, no, dude, guys. Coffee, weed, tequila, and music. You put that combo together and you can do things.
You can do anything.
I'm just telling you right now. That combo gets you places.
I tried all those things. I just haven't tried them all at once. Maybe
that combo, I have them all right here next to me right now.
Well, that's really right there, everybody. That just defined it right there.
All right, we're out of here, folks. Hey, anybody might have seen this show. I don't know if you're out there or not, or who will.
Anybody out there? Listen to us.
The only weird thing is I know people are watching this crazy stuff because I go on when I post it on YouTube, and people have been watching it. I'm like, why are they doing it?
Actually, this is on YouTube?
It will be. The others are all on YouTube, Ron.
Damn.
You didn't know that? Oh, man, wait a minute. Yeah,
I thought this was just a private conversation.
No. Oh, boy.
All right.
Oh, God. Anyway,
hey, fun. I enjoyed it.
Hey, there are people looking for me. That librarian.
Yeah, well, look at all those library books you got on the shelf back there.
Yeah, check. There might be a drawing, one of my drawings in there. You never know.
You know what? I'm going to check.
Wait. Hey, I want to say thank you, Tony.
Thank you,
Ron,
Tony. It's nice to meet
good
you.
To see you. Thank you, man.
Thanks, Ron.
Let me know whenever you have a show here. I'd love to go to it.
I sure will.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank you all for coming in. This was Unsellable Beta. And we don't know what we're doing. We're talking about art. Thank you.
Buy something from us. I'm looking to get out. All right, Ted. I'll see you later. Yeah, 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 I am. Am I unfrozen?
You're unfrozen.
Oh, okay, cool.
Tony
All
left
right,
the
yeah,
room.
that went really well. That was cool. I like that. We gotta go out and find people.
Yeah, we're gonna do. I think what we should do is, this is not a joke. Go on Instagram, find Instagram artists, and just invite them. People we don't even know.
Okay.
We should invite that guy that brought your painting.
I was thinking about that anyway. Yeah.
I know. I've seen his artwork. He's got some crazy ass shit. He looks a lot like
Basquiat.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
We should bring him in.
Yeah. Okay. I'll send him a line.
More heads. We need more heads on here. Oh God! But I'm gonna bring some other people. We're gonna get some girls and shit in here as well.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna ask Emily if she wanted to come on this show.
Do it.
All right.
Ask anyone. Yeah, I tell people all the time, just check out the show, and so we'll see what happens.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
that's cool. I like that. I like having a different perspective. Yeah,
man. I think we got something here. This might be okay. Especially because the idea we're just going to talk about art.
Yeah.
That makes talking about art with artists makes this show easy for all of us to do because we all love art.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's easy. It's like, I'm just going to talk about art. Fuck, I can talk about art all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I can talk about art all day too without talking about art.
So what's the next topic?
The next topic? Well, I picked this one. I picked continuity. You got to pick the next one.
Oh God. How about I don't want to be too broad. How do we want to approach this?
I don't know. I mean, let's just see. I mean, you're using a one. It's really what you're doing is creating a prompt for us to talk to. So we could create. You know what? Why don't we just create a couple of prompts for ourselves, and then we'll just go back and forth until we come up with something, and then
because I'm like right now, I don't even know what to go. Like I don't even know where. It needs to be open enough for any type of media. But at the same time, it needs to be something that.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, goddamn, I got so much stuff written in here. I could pull a prompt out of here.
What do you got? I'm not really worried about the order that who chose what. Let's see what you got. I want something good. I'm drinking, so let's go for it. And Ron, I finished off all my taxes for Puna Press today.
Really?
Dude, my goal was to get it all done in January while I was taking this month off. I finished today, so I'm back to the drawing table.
Okay, cool.
I'm back, man.
I'm looking for something I've written in here.
Ron? Look at this. Look at my screen. I'm taking you to the table. I'm uncovering the table right now.
Going to the table.
Look, here's where we are.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That looks cool. That looks cool like that. Whoa. That is nice.
That's where we are right now.
Jesus.
Put some light on this thing. Yeah. Here's where we are.
Okay. So you have everything kind of mapped out.
Oh yeah, it's ready to go. I'm ready to sit down and get to the pins now. It's ready to go. So like I said, the last piece hurt my body. I'm going to dive in hard on this one, dude. This is going to be a painful piece, but I don't care because I got a dog portrait after it.
How about, here's a tough subject.
What we got?
Originality.
Whoa. Oh, God. All right, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you want to bring in the guy who does the Basquiat stuff? Ooh.
No, because that would be interesting because I'm sure that he knows of Basquiat.
Well, how could he not?
And that's an influence, and it might, and I'm sure that he doesn't see his work as derivative. You should try that on the show.
Try what on the show? Smoking weed? Ron, you froze. Unfreeze thyself so we can continue this conversation. Hurry up.
I guess that's what it is. That should be the intro shot right there. Deja vu. Anyway, yeah, no, just to talk about that because I think that's a question with a lot of people. I mean, how do you know you're being original? I mean, you can say it's original. It's my idea. I've done everything. I did the footwork, but I mean.
Well, I'm only saying that because if we ask artists who we can obviously see a known influence, it's not inescapable.
Okay. Okay. Well, maybe that's too mean. Maybe that's a trap.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Dude, we can't do that.
No, I know what you're saying.
No, but skip that. What is this? Who's Emily?
Emily is a painter I went through the MFA program with.
So would that question work for her?
Yeah.
Let's get her.
All right. Let me ask. Let me send her an email, or I'll just contact her on Instagram.
And tell her we need 3 images.
And 3 images.
Yeah.
And they send them to you?
Yeah, they can send them to me, and that way I can post them as we do the show like we did today. Dude, that works out so cool. We have each image up for like 20 minutes as we blow through like we did tonight.
Uh-huh.
That works out great.
Yeah, man, it does. The time went by fast. In fact, if I hadn't kept popping out, and it would have been just a little bit more fluid for me because it was hard going and leaving. At one time, I had to leave the show completely and go back to the link.